Hey there, everybody. It's KB5M. Excuse me, KB5MIQ Big Boy. I'm gonna go ahead and do part two on types of used gear and a little history on some gear. And I've been trying to figure out the best way to do this to keep it under 4 hours long. Try to keep it under 15, 20 minutes at the most. Hey, ham radio cat. Um, And I was going to post some pictures on here, but I'm not sure about copyright infringements with YouTube, and I don't want to get any hits on my channel, so I'm going to do this a little differently. And we're going to talk about some different brands, and we'll give you some highlights and some things to look for. Okay, for instance, Heathkit. Heathkit manufactured electronic kits from 1947 to 1992. They made everything under the sun, from color TVs, radios, accessories, test gear. You could buy it in a Heathkit kit. Honestly, I kind of wish they were still here. Or I could find me a HW 101 or something down the road I could redo myself. But they've been around forever. Now, I just now realize this, that SB 104, or the last, and then there's one more after that in HF rigs that were transistor. In fact, the very last rig they have was the Yaesu 747 with the Heathkit name on it. But anything prior to that's always going to be tube rigs. Now, somebody may correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you're looking at older radios and you look at the controls on the front, if there's a knob that says load and a knob right by it that says plate, that's going to be a tube rig. So you need to remember that. And you're going to have to make sure it's either got a built-in power supply or you got the matching power supply that goes with it. Because from HW 101s back to the beginning of Heathkit, they're tube rigs, and you got to have the matching power supply because the tubes require different voltages. So something to think about. We talked about Swan in my last video also, and I did a little bit more information on this guy. They'd been around a lot longer than I thought they were. They formed in 1960, and he uh, he founded, a guy named Johnson founded Atlas Radio 74, and they all pretty well went out by the early 80s. So those are old tube rigs. The Swans are. The Atlases are actually solid state rigs. I found that out tonight looking at this stuff. Now, looking at rigs that you're going to run into at sidewalk sales. Drake. They made some Drake twins. Then they had some Drakes that were the same unit. Like the Drake twins, one unit's going to be the receiver and one unit's going to be the transmitter. And when they're in their tube rigs and when they're hooked together, there'll be a way to bypass the receiver to use them. I've seen them, but I've never seen one operation. I've seen some Drake radios in the single solid state radios used, but I've never seen one of those. Those are pretty old radios also. The big three: Kenwood, Yaesu, and Icom. And you're always going to see a bunch of them. Um, I tried to look up the different models of Kenwoods, and there is predominantly what I've seen in Kenwood tube radios has been 520, 520Ss, 820, and 830Ss. They may have another one in there that I'm not aware of, but again, they'll have that two knobs on the front that say plate and load, and that's a tube radio. And I believe the Kenwoods power supplies was built into them. I'm almost certain they were. Um, to my knowledge, ICOM never made a tube HF radio. I'm not saying they didn't make any tube radios earlier, VHF, UHF. I'm not that familiar with ICOM prior to 1979. I know this 701 I got was the first ICOM HF rig. And I know that for a fact because I used to have a QST from 79 and ad in it said ICOM HF coming soon. So that's when they started the HF radios with the 701. And they've got different models all the way through. Now, I did notice something on some Kenwood models, and I'm going to give you another website that you really need to check out. some of the earlier Kenwood 80s radios were quad band radios, and there were some QRP radios in there, which means they're probably 10 watt or less radios. The quad band radios, I know the 660 and 600 series were like 6, 10, 12, and 15, and they were QRP radios. And I think they were only had upper sideband on them. They probably had CW, but they only had upper sideband because that's the predominant used band on those mode on those bands. Um, Yaesu, the FT 101 series started out with FT 101s, and I think A's, B's, D's, double E's, FT 101Z's, and ZD's, all tube radios. One characteristic of the 520s and everything in Yaesu prior to the FT 101 ZD, I believe, or 901, is they're all going to have analog readout on them. There won't be an LED readout on them. TS 520s had an optional LED thing kit you could put on top of it, I believe, but they're all going to be analog readout, like the HW 101s. All your Swans, Atlases, stuff like that are going to have analog readout on the VFO dial. Jeff and I talked about trying to really get into this, but I really don't know of a way to make this work and keep it under 15 minutes. So I'm going to do a little more chatting about different radios. You see a lot of 520s out there, 520Ss. They must have sold a lot of them, but I still see a lot of them for sale. About every sidewalk sale I've been to, I'll see a 520 or 520S. Good friend of mine I served the military with, I wished I'd had the money a couple of years ago. He put a complete 520 station up. I think every accessory for a 520 he had there in one wad, and it was clean as a pin, but just didn't have the money at the time to get it. You're looking at used gear at sidewalk sales, eBay. You know, I used to recommend eBay, but I don't know how much I recommend eBay anymore. You're at the mercy of somebody shipping it and shipping it correctly. And the tube radios are heavy and they're hard to ship without damaging the tubes or something in it. So I don't know what to tell you on that. That's going to just have to take a chance, be aware of it. I do know I saw a guy bought a Drake HF rig, solid state rig, one he'd always wanted, and bought it off what used to be they call the yellow sheets. Used to be a ham radio classified, was in circulation, been around for years. I don't know if they're still here or not since internet's took over. He ordered a radio from a ham, and this is something that aggravated me when I said I just hadn't been hobby long. The guy didn't pack it with a flip. Had a desk mic with it. He just stuck it in the box with a desk mic, didn't pack it good, and the radio shifted in transit and broke the desk mic. And I don't think the guy would do anything about it. So when you're shipping something like that, you better beware or have something in line for the insurance or something, because it could get damaged in shipping. Now, this is my suggestion. You're going to have to study this a little bit before you just blind go to a sidewalk sale or a ham convention or anything, any kind of convention where they're having selling ham gear used, or you're going to get overwhelmed or could make a bad investment. Like I said, I'm an old gun trader. I studied guns. I kept Blue Book. I've got a stack of Blue Book of gun values over here where I have researched and looked up guns forever. Anything I might even be interested in, I'd read everything I could on before I went to any kind of gun show. I suggest you do the same thing in ham radio. eham.net is the best website I've found for product reviews, and he's got every piece of ham equipment you can imagine under product reviews. And just scroll down to where it says transceivers, HF, VHF, non-QRP, and that'll cover the majority of every transceiver ever made. And you just start scrolling by brand and looking at them. And I highly recommend you read the reviews of them. A lot of good information from a lot of guys on there. And you can look at how many stars it's rated. That gives you a good idea how much trouble they may have had with the thing. pretty much tell you whether it's in production or not anymore. Um, Things like that. Now, eBay. I I look at eBay every night. When we're in on 10 meter round table, I'm sitting there scrolling through eBay just looking at radios. But again, I'm seeing a lot of these things marked now, parts only, no return. So you're gonna take a chance on it. Also, I'm seeing some Japanese sellers on there, and somebody else correct me if I'm wrong, that are selling radios that they bought in Japan that were made for the Japanese market to American buyers. And I don't think the band plan's exactly the same. It's going to be similar because we've all worked Japanese stations on DX, but I've read where a lot of their bands are slightly different than ours, so you need to be aware of that. Uh, Best rule of thumb: do your research. If you got an Elmer that will go with you and talk, and they can help you pick a radio out. Like I've said before, if you come up on a sidewalk sale and a guy's got a radio there and it's dusty and dirty and there's crap piled all over it, I think I'd move on unless it was dirt cheap and you was taking a chance that you're gonna have it worked on. Uh, the guy I bought this 701 from up at Queen Wilhelmina last year, he had his radio set there on a nice clean table, set up. You had them where you could turn them on. He said, I could hook power to it if you want to hear it run. Told me it seemed knowledgeable, very nice, very polite, willing to talk about it. Take a chance on something like that. Uh, Depends on how new a radio and your budget. I still highly recommend checking main trading companies' used list of radios out because he'll tell you on there if it's got a warranty or not. And if it's a 30-day in-store warranty on a used radio, that's pretty good. So I hope I didn't disappoint with this video, but I have looked and tried to figure out every way in the world I could have got into this any better, and I really don't know other way to do it with the amount of radios out there, just what I can remember seeing. Uh, all kinds of ICOMs, but all your ICOMs are going to be solid state radios. Just going to have to do your research and get an idea of your budget and take a chance on it. I bought bad guns before. That's part of swapping and trading. That's just you got to take the bad with the good. But if you do your research, get an idea, and don't jump on the first thing you see unless it's recommended. Uh, One of the guys giving me my novice ticket found me my first radio. I never seen it till he brought it to me. He told me what it was. It was in my price range. He vouched for it. Good enough for me. If you can find somebody to help you do that, that'd be the way to do it. Just remember, if you're buying something blind off sidewalk sale or a convention, you'll have to take your chances on it. I hope this helps. Eham.net under product reviews. Check it out. And that's for any equipment you buy. They got reviews on microphones, receivers, VHF, everything under the sun on there. So you just have to look it up and see what you want to check reviews on. Remember, Main Trading Company, Paris, Texas. Good outfit for ham radio gear, new and used. In fact, I'm planning on going up there Saturday morning myself, checking on the microphone for this 897 of mine. Farmersville, out here northwest of Greenville, first Saturday every month, have their sidewalk sale at South Lake. Check them out on their website, on the Farmersville Facebook page. Remember your Facebook pages, Ham Radio Flea Market Trading Post, Amateur Radio Elmers, Ham Radio, club pages, Farmersville, Four States Amateur, Shreveport Amateur, Dallas, and Cowtown Amateur. All good avenues for ham radio information. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. Check in with us on 10 meters anytime you can. Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Friday night. We're always going to be in the novice tech portion, hopefully around 28,450. This is KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.